Bijat Citizen TV Kenya, use the hashtag Monday Reporters to bring that up on screen and see what your questions are. Engineer Lazaro says, Honorable Kuria, investors moving out their wonders just because of high cost of doing business in Kenya. Why can't the government reduce cost of electricity, fuel and other essential commodities for Kenya to become industrial nation? Quick answer.
Well, I think we have I've talked about this,
yes.
And I totally agree with that. We have to do something about cost of energy.
Okay.
We have to do. It's one single thing that we need to do, but as I've said, it will come with some pains because right now, it's industry that is subsidizing the rest of the economy. I just want industry to pay the same, if not cheaper. Other countries, industry pay cheaper than the rest of the economy. In Kenya, industry is subsidizing the rest of the economy. If we can't have it cheaper than the rest of us, let's pay the same.
Okay. All right.
There's no free lunch.
All right. Dominicus, let's say Kenya is piloting the African Free Continental Trade Area. It seems we intend to use it only when it benefits us. What guides the CS of MITI, that is the Ministry of Trade, to suggest implementing an importation levy on imported goods? Wouldn't this trigger similar reactions from our trading partners?
Well, I'm a very experienced person in this field, and we have got instruments and tools that are available, especially anti-dumping,
yeah,
and unfair business. Trade practices. So I'm using globally accepted tools to protect industry, and that guy is saying, yeah, we are using it when it benefits us. That's about it. Trade is what benefits you. Okay. It's not a charitable thing.
Okay. Let's see, Njeri says, ask CS Kuria whether he is aware that government is crippling SMEs by not paying its debt. What is the government plan to remedy this?
This issue of pending bills, because I even I addressed this issue through legislation when I was a member of parliament in the 12th parliament, is something that we have to look at. And it has to begin with the spending according to what we have, the money that we have. Take, for example, forget about even national government, county government. County government make projections for their revenue, for example, what we call own source revenue, and they go ahead to procure against projections. We have to stop that and start procuring against actual receipts and actual money that we know is coming, because why we have got this problem of pending bills, first of all, is because we are budgeting based on our wish list, on wishful thinking, and that's how we are procuring. So we are having this discussion, and we may need to change our Public Financial Management Act to force both national government and county government to only procure based on actual receipts. Okay. What we call, a cash-based accounting as opposed to accrual-based accounting.
Okay. Let's see what else you're saying here. Mane says, please ask the CS Kuria what's his plan regarding very low-priced eggs coming from Uganda and Tanzania. How will he lower cost of production for chicken, pigs, and dairy? The cost of feeds is way too high and unsustainable.
Truth of the matter, Trevor, is those are the countries, Uganda and Tanzania, their soils can produce inputs, soybeans and all that, at much cheaper than us. I don't want to talk about this issue, because when I gave Kenya as a solution, they called me all manner of names. But I'm convinced until you go for GMO for animal feeds, even if you don't go for human feeds, for animal feeds, for our animals. But
you said you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, so just tell them the truth.
Well, that's it.
So what is your truth?
That is the truth. They've gone to court. So let the court deal with it. I respect courts.
Okay.
Yeah? I will not go for demonstrations because you've gone to court.
Gashigi Kelvin says, what are the plans on value addition on what we produce? Example, coffee, tea, and mangoes.
This is a very important question. Now, as of a week ago, we agreed, we met in Naivasha with all the governors, and the president was there, and we agreed on a plan we are calling KAIP, County Aggregation and Industrial Parks. The president did announce, you saw it in the news, that he is actually volunteering 100 million shillings for every county, for 4.7 billion shillings, to develop industrial park for the value addition of the kind of things that he's talking about here, to develop aggregation for the same product, to reduce post-harvest losses. Trevor, you'll be shocked. Are you aware that out of every 10 mangoes that are harvested by Kenyan farmers, only 2 reach the market? That's what we call post-harvest losses. Same thing with avocado, 3 out of 10. The rest are lost. Then you wonder, why we're even planting, going to the pain of going, planting, harvesting, transporting. We lose them from the farm to the market. That's why we are setting up these county aggregation and industrial parks, 1 in every county. Actually, we have got some models from the private sector. You know Twiga Foods, for example, which is doing a lot of aggregation. You know, we are doing incubation as administered through Kenya Industrial Research and Development Institute, KIRDI, and that is a kind of thing. And you know, I really want to thank our governors, all of them, because we give them a challenge. I tell them, give me the land. I'll come there and build these aggregation centers, these value addition centers. All of them, I'm just receiving letters and letters. I really want to approach governors from all regions, from all political parties, because we have agreed that this issue of job creation, manufacturing, and value addition, we don't have political parties, we don't have regions, and we are coming together. The president has given leadership on this issue. So I think once we are done with this 47, we are going now to be able to minimize these post-harvest losses and increase on value addition. Then what do we do with them? How do we export? Because we need to also see now that farmer has delivered their product to that county industrial park. We are also doing warehouses, export warehouses by the government of Kenya in the export market, so that we can be able to lift from this county aggregation and industrial park, put it in the export warehouses, and sell it through e-commerce and other things, so that even somebody from somewhere in Migori County who does not have a passport can be able to participate in the export business, because they'll go to their Migori Center. Governor Ochiro Yako has already volunteered around 60 acres of land from there. Yeah. Governor Nyong'o is giving me 80 acres of land. Governor Balile is giving me around 50 acres of land. You know, it's just something that is very good, what I've been dreaming for in this country, whereby when we come to issue of creating jobs, of manufacturing, of value addition, we don't look at parties, we don't look at political inclination and all that. So this is one project really, coming from both the county parks to the export parks in Dubai, in DRC and all that, so that even an ordinary person out there can deliver goods to their local center. We lift it from there, we take it to the export market, we sell those goods, and you get a message, hey Trevor, your mangoes have been bought, and money is in your bank, and you don't even have a passport. That's the day.
Okay. All right, let's see what else you're asking here. There are quite a number of them. We'll try and see if we can get through them really fast. Sylvester says, ask the CS, what plans do they have to revive the sugar and textile industries? We've talked about the textile industries. Let's talk about
Let's talk about sugar. I like this question of sugar because, as a Minister for Trade, I also represent the country in COMESA talks. And what we've been having in COMESA is that we are about the only country in COMESA with a sugar deficiency. The only country. So what happens in COMESA meetings? Countries fight, they have a quota. They have a sharing formula to divide who is going to supply us. And it's normally, Egypt says we want this quota to sell to Kenya, Mauritius, Lesotho, Eswatini, and all these countries. And in December, I was in Lusaka for COMESA. And I heard these countries haggling, you are taking our quota to sell to Kenya. And I said, who bewitched us? That other countries are sitting down to decide how much they sell to us. And we have, that's what we call the safeguard mechanism of COMESA, which has been extended until September. You know what? I do not intend to ask for another extension. And I'm sending this message to our sugar industry. We need to get our act in order.
But
we can do it because across the border there, what's the difference? What is if you look at Busia, for example, the distance from Busia to Lugazi in eastern Uganda, where they are doing very well on sugar. It's literally a 1 hour drive from Busia. So there must be something right. Uganda is getting on the sugar. You can't tell me it's about the soil. Soils are not controlled by political geography. That you just close the border from Busia to Lugazi, and then from there, the price becomes different, or the cost of doing business becomes different. We need to make our sugar industry, very competitive. Those private people who have invested in the sugar industry, they're doing well, they're doing all right. But we need to look at the issue of Nzoia, the issue of Chemiril, the issue of Mewani, the issue of Mumias, and all these things, and it's about time.
Is privatization
to privatize this. And I hope now when we privatize this, we are not going to have the same noises that we have before. And I'm talking to governors from those regions. let them mobilize their people. Let's not even sell to other people. As we sell, if I sell Miwani, I want Governor Nyong'o to also mobilize Kisumu people to be able to partake in that. But this is one area where public sector has been proven that they are not very efficient in running that particular business. So we need to face reality, privatize these industries, privatize Nzoia, privatize Mumias, privatize Miwani, Chemiril, and all these things, and let it operate as efficiently as Kibos is doing. As efficiently as, the Ugandans, Madivani and all those companies are doing. Madivani has been doing it for ages across the border in Uganda. Why can't we do it for West Sugar? Why can't we do it for Chemiril? Why can't we do it for Miwani? We can do it. But when I think some people, they want these assets, these our sugar assets, factories and all that, to continue to be in the hands of national governments so that they can get somebody to blame. Even if you blame someone, it will not add sufurias of Bugatti to you or whatever. So let's now face reality, privatize these things, have our governors also mobilize our people so that they can also participate in the privatization process.
All right. There's a text here. It says, we also export labor services around the world, and you have been to the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Dubai. What are we getting wrong when it comes to Saudi Arabia?
I think this is an issue that our Ministry of Labor is looking at. But I'll say this about Saudi Arabia. And Qatar and Dubai, these are countries I know very well, having worked there for close to a decade. Yeah. We still have many more opportunities available in these countries. Saudi Arabia is not just about domestic workers. And I will continue to talk to these countries. Yeah? That our conversation, by the way, these countries are some of the most liquid countries in the world. If you go to America, Facebook, Twitter, Uber, all these companies are owned by the Gulf, especially the sovereign wealth parts of the Gulf. So me personally, I don't know, I will leave the labor issues for my colleague Florence Bolle to talk about. But I refuse my relationship with the Gulf countries to be defined by this particular issue. One, we have got opportunity to export more than domestic workers, to export engineers, to export doctors, to export, bankers. Like I was a banker in those countries. It's possible, and we can be able to give a lot of our people jobs there. Two, the problems of domestic workers in the Gulf region should not mask us to see the kind of also the investment opportunities that are available there. I spent a lot of time there in December, closed a lot of, or opened a lot of discussion with investors. By the way, in the next 2 weeks, the president is making, official visits to just the 3 countries here they mentioned: United Arab Emirates, Saudi, and Qatar. Yeah. We hope during that official visits to those 3 countries that we are going to really look at this issue of labor. Yeah. When the president meets his colleagues, his brothers from the 3 countries, look at the labor agreements that we have, really get to the fundamental cause of the issue. Also ask ourselves, even for domestic workers, how are we training these domestic workers? Are we making them fit for purpose? How are other countries doing it? How come Filipinos are all over there? They don't have the same problems we have. Indonesians are all over there. Bangladeshis are all over there. They don't have the same problem with us. Is it that we need to relook at the way we train people, the way we prepare our workers to go there, or maybe the cultural orientation and the preparation? But that notwithstanding, we have got a lot of investment deals that we are going to be signing there. Yeah. We are now negotiating a comprehensive economic partnership agreement with the UAE, which hopefully will conclude and be able to sign it there. We are going to commission a joint trade and investment commission with Saudi Arabia and be able to enable our people, our respective business communities to trade with each other, to have investments, massive investment. Yeah. Part of my $10 billion investment plan, the bulk of it also is coming from the GCC. Yeah. So this particular issue of labor, we are going to resolve it within this official visit, but it needs also to be seen within the context of the huge trade opportunities and the huge investment opportunities that are there. And by the way, I repeat again, the Gulf is not all about the domestic workers. Yeah. We are going to have an agreement with the leading companies there to be able to send our engineers, our drivers, and other, both semi-skilled and skilled professional workers.
Yeah, Waziri, you have a point that it's not just about the domestic workers, but the reason we are focusing on the domestic workers is because sometimes it leads even to death. But some people say that it is modern-day slavery.
No, I know, and we need to look at the basic issue. But I'm telling you that Kenya is a minute percentage in terms of the export of domestic workers to to them. So I'm not saying I've got the answers. And I'm not saying I'm the most qualified. I think my colleague from Labour can be able to explain better. But I'm just saying also, we are not an island. Let's benchmark against other countries.
Yeah.
What are they doing right? Philippines.
Yeah.
Before even now we have a PS for diaspora. Philippines have a full-fledged ministry for a long time, OFW, Overseas Filipino Workers Ministry, because the bulk of their foreign earnings is from this export of labor, including domestic labor. I am saying that we need to look at this issue. It is regrettable what has been happening. It is sad what has been happening. It is not insurmountable, and we need to fix it, because we also need the jobs.
Should there be more stringent regulations by the government to the recruiting agency?
It's not just recruiting agency, I'm telling you. We need to do more than that, and we have offered solution. Even if you are a recruiting agency based in Kenya, you get this and that peer agency in Saudi, for example, asking, give us this. You have almost zero control over that particular agency. So it's very easy to blame the agencies, and agencies have been blamed. But also it's important also as a government, we get it to the bottom of this matter and ask ourselves, what is really the problem? Yeah. And when I was in Saudi both in December and I went back in January, I've told my counterpart from the government of Saudi, my colleague ministers, as somebody with experience in that country, that probably they need to allow our companies to be the one controlling, dealing directly with the employers in Saudi, as opposed to other Saudi agencies, because a lot of stuff is lost in that translation. I would rather our companies here are allowed to go and set up base there, so that if there's a problem there, they talk to the employers directly. Now, even if you are an agency here, you are purely at the mercy of another agency in Saudi. This is what I'm calling a surgical review of what is the process, without emotions and without some knee-jerk, reaction, so that we can be able to solve this. Because I have said we need maybe to do some referendum and ask, should we stop domestic workers to the Middle East? The truth of the matter is Kenyans will say no. Yeah. Kenyans will say no by themselves, because they know they still that, despite the problems which are there, which are regrettable again, we still have a lot of people who are earning a living from that side of the world. Yeah. But I believe, Trevor, because now we are in this government, and some of us have a lot of experience in that area, and also we have, identified the GCC region, the Gulf Cooperation Council countries, as strategic partners for investment, for trade, and all that. That even the issue of labor is going to be solved within that. I believe this is the time.
Yeah, but Waziri, what is your association with a company called Emerging Human Capital? I
was involved in this company before. That is up to 5 years, and that company is no longer operational, from 5 years ago.
Because according to the National Employment Authority, Emerging Human Capital, which you are one of the directors, is one of the agencies allowed to deploy human capital to many countries around the world, including the Saudi Arabia.
And what's wrong with that?
Did you take people to Saudi Arabia?
I did.
And this is what they're saying, that is the regulation made more difficult because many of these recruiting agencies are owned by prominent...
By the way, let me tell you something. I was not prominent in 2001 when I went to Saudi Arabia. I was not prominent in 2001, that's 20-something years ago, when I was venturing into this business. Why do people criminalize business?
Because people have died in that place, yes.
People dying and business. People dying and business, Trevor, because, emotions and sentiments can run high on this issue. I am saying, even if someone is not being in this business, other people are going to be in this business. And I'm saying, we have got millions and millions of people, Filipinos, Bangladeshis, Indonesians. I'm not one to sit here and be hypocritical about that we have got a labor market there. And by the way, I was in this business since 2001.
What regulations did you put in place to ensure that people are treated fair like human beings?
In 2001? What regulation would I have made in 2001?
But you are running an agency, yes.
No, what regulation did you put in 2001?
Were you concerned that some people have been taken advantage of in Saudi Arabia? This issue
is much more complicated than what you think.
Okay.
It's much more complicated than what you think. And I'm saying, this is a business I exited around 5 years ago. I've not exported any labor for 5 years because of all these problems, and because I think before we do this, and I'm one person who is happy to even support a policy of we stop domestic workers. Because as I've said, it's crowding a bigger opportunity for engineers, for drivers, for all these other things. Would you rather stop someone who has gone to school, can earn 3-4 times a salary as an engineer because of domestic workers? If Kenyans today, and as I'm calling for a referendum on this particular issue, if Kenyans decide that you don't want domestic, because the whole thing of what we can be able to do for professional workers, for engineers, for all these people, is crowded by that small issue of domestic workers. And I want you to go to that NEA and get data about what that company has exported for the last 5 years. And you'll prove me right. If we stop lazy journalism, you'll find out that, you could have backed your question with some facts. But nonetheless, I am saying there's a fundamental issue here whereby all the other opportunities that exist on trade, on investment, on employment, I told you Fred Wahiga Mahora, who was trying to dig into this issue rather mischievously, that the labor export still remains one of the biggest exports, and as remittances, diaspora workers. And, as a government, we are going to continue encouraging Kenyans to look for job opportunities abroad.
You say it's mischievous, but I'm holding CR12, which shows who the directors are. And this was dated November 2022. That was just last year. Emerging Human Capital Limited, you're still here. Moses Kiarie Kuria as a director. So you didn't exit 5 years ago?
No, I did exit 5 years ago. No, I said we stopped exporting. And what's wrong with that? What are you hammering at? What's wrong with owning a business? Are you a communist?
I'm not.
You are a communist.
About owning a
you are anti-business.
Asking you about the.
That question is anti-business. What's wrong? I am a businessman. I was a businessman. I have no regrets to that. But I have no regrets to that, Trevor. If that's the direction you are taking, I'm not a coward. I'm not a hypocrite. I am pro-business. I am holding this job because I encourage private sector investment. If you want to hang on to communism, you're on your own on that one. I believe in private enterprise.
But has it been harder for government to put regulations because of people like yourselves?
What regulation have someone tried to put because of us? Because you proved to me that I was in parliament, this regulation came and I opposed it.
But which ones did you propose yourself?
I was not in that particular committee.
If you're saying that this was your business,
yeah,
you'd want a business to be done the right way, right?
I'm not going to answer that because this is a normal royal media kind of thing of victimizing people and their businesses and all that kind of thing. And we know the history and the record of royal media in this thing. But what I'm saying is, if you want to look at this issue as a generic issue, as an issue that needs to be, I choose to look at the opportunities that are available. And I've got nothing more meaningful to add on that conversation.
All right. Let's wind up with the EU-Kenya Business Forum that is happening tomorrow. What is the main focus of this?
The main focus is on 3 areas. It's on trade, it's on investment, and it's on sustainability. So on the issue of investment, we have got around 500 companies that are out there, 250 from Kenya and 250 from the EU, and we expect a lot of deals. On the issue of our relationship with the US, we have got a particular piece of signing that we are going to do there tomorrow. We are very excited about it. I've talked about our county aggregation and industrial parks. We are going to, this program is called BEEP, and on top of the 4.7 billion shillings that the president announced that we are putting into this particular program, we are adding another close to 25 million euros from that particular program. So very exciting things that we expect in the next few days. And as I've said also, we are negotiating an economic partnership agreement, an EPA, with the EU, and this forum tomorrow is going to provide some impetus on that.
All right. Can we squeeze in some few questions that are coming through so that we finish? I know there are quite a number of them. Let's just get 1 or 2 of them so that we wind up this conversation because we're running out of time here. Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya is the hashtag Monday Report. Let's bring up some of the questions that were remaining that we didn't finish through as we wind up on this conversation. Let's see. John says, Trevor, ask the CS if it's possible for the government to create an investment or innovations digital fund for fresh graduates, especially bearing the fact that the job market is not looking good. I believe this would cushion unemployment.
The issue of fintechs, by the way, there's a lot of money coming from especially private equity out there, mostly US private equity, to fund fintechs, to fund talent. This is our oil. As I said in some event when I was launching some app today,
yeah.
Digital innovation, digital transformation is one of the areas where really we have got some. It's our oil, it's our gold, and yes, we are working as a government on a startup fund. I think the president did announce it the other day when we were launching also the Hustlers Fund, and for this startup fund for the digital, I expect one of the main beneficiaries is going to be our fintech and our innovators.
Okay.
We really have to invest in it because this is one area where, because of the M-Pesa and the other mobile money that came, is one area where we really have some advantage.
Okay.
And we really need to play it forward.
All right, we had covered most of this except counterfeits. That was asked by Soko analyst. We had talked about 1 to up to 4 fighting counterfeit.
Let's talk about counterfeit. Now, we are working on an initiative called the Super Stamp, whereby this Super Stamp today, if you look at most of the goods, they have got a stamp for revenue, for the excise duty. Now, we are working on a joint stamp, a common stamp we are calling on the Super Stamp, that combines revenue from Kenya Revenue Authority, that combines counterfeit, and that combines what do you call this one? The standards from Kenya Bureau of Standards.
Yeah.
So that we can do a mass rollout on our pharmaceuticals, on our soft drinks, on our other things. And I think this will work a long way to fight counterfeit.
All right. This is the last one that we can bring in. Some Kenyans are selling used electronics and furniture from Europe, but when Kenyans want to manufacture quality products made here, we face a lot. Example, number of licenses and unnecessary taxes. Ask Waziri what he's doing to change this, the number of licenses.
Let me talk about the regulatory regime on the licensing. We have to reduce this. And if you look at the Kenya Kwanza plan and the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, it is very, very, very clear about the business environment, reducing we want to do a pilot in Nairobi, where Governor Sakaja and myself are discussing on how, both from national government, because, even if I solve this from a national government perspective, and county does not, look at it also. So we are doing this pilot with Governor Sakaja, where we are looking at these are the licenses that are, imposed by national government and county government. We have to reduce it. We have to reduce the cost. But more specifically on furniture, I believe that Kenya can produce furniture. And when I talk about the levy, one of the areas you can expect me to levy is on furniture.
All right.
Because you want to tell me now, 60 years after independence, I cannot get some fundis here to make our furniture here. And if we can't make our furniture, when are we going to make a car?
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for making time for us. Honorable Moses Kuria, CS, Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry. All the best tomorrow. And that has been wrapping up Monday Report. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Trevor Ombija. Bye for now.